Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we plunge into the fascinating material you share with us, pulling out surprising insights and, well, trying to make complex ideas clear. Today, we're looking at something really extraordinary. It's a personal account, a deep dive that truly challenges how we think about life, death, and the echoes of karma. Our mission really is to unravel this intricate web. It's presented as a detailed case study from someone, a devoted temple goer, full of these astonishing recollections, life-altering experiences, and we want to give you a shortcut, sort of, to understanding how past actions and current life connect.
Yeah, exactly. This submission, it gives us a remarkable window, really, into how different life events, personal struggles, family stuff, how they might trace back to things done in previous lives. It really pushes us to look beyond just the immediate causes, doesn't it? To consider the bigger karmic picture shaping our journeys.
Okay, so let's dive straight in. The woman at the heart of this, the one who sent it in. Her journey starts back in 1991. That's when she first visited Wat Phra Dhammakaya. Now, this was a time when the temple was getting some, well, pretty negative press, lots of rumors flying around. But instead of just buying into it, she did something different.
Right, and that's key, isn't it? She decided to find out for herself, like a true investigator seeking direct experience.
Totally. And what she found, a temple that was like spotless, clean, orderly, completely the opposite of the news reports. And that experience, well, it really hit home for her, sparked this connection, and she became a regular there.
A powerful first impression.
But her life, even from the very start, it was unusual. Her mother told her she was born feet first, and the umbilical cord wrapped around her neck and body.
Wow, that's a dramatic entrance,
Wow.
often seen as significant, karmically speaking.
And then it gets even more interesting. At just 2 years old, imagine this, she's playing near home, sees a neighbor, and boom, this immediate feeling of knowing them. Like deep familiarity, long-lost relatives kind of feeling.
Strange for a 2-year-old.
Right, and this feeling, it triggers this vivid memory. She remembered being the youngest daughter of that exact neighbor in a past life.
Whoa.
And not just a feeling, she knew details. Who lived there, names, whose stuff was whose, even where her past life dad hid money.
Specifics like that are hard to dismiss.
Exactly. She had proof, basically. Everyone eventually believed her, just undeniable.
That kind of detail, especially when it can be verified, really lends weight to these accounts.
Yeah.
Specificity is crucial.
But the memories didn't stop there. When she was 7, she recalled something else, something tragic.
Okay.
She and a friend, a girl, were collecting lotus flowers, 3 of them, from a pond behind the house, to offer at the temple,
A meritorious intention.
Yeah. But the last lotus, it was just too far out. They both reached, and they slipped into a deep part of the pond. Both of them drowned.
Oh, that's awful. Drowned together.
Yeah, and she remembered, after death, watching her own cremation, like seeing her body burn, but she couldn't get back in.
That detachment, observing one's own end.
She wandered the temple, she said, for 3 days. Then she saw this woman carrying water out front, and she decided, her words, to jump onto the woman's back.
Jump.
Yeah, and that woman became her current mother. She was reborn as her daughter right after that. What a sequence to remember.
That level of detail, the cremation, the jump, it really suggests a very, very quick turnaround between lives. That's often linked to retaining clear memories like these.
So shifting now to her current life, from a really young age, like before 7 even, she had this powerful desire. She wanted to be a man, wanted to be a monk. She actively disliked being female, hated it.
That's a strong aversion, especially so young.
And when puberty hit, around 14 or 15, menstruation started.
Yeah.
She was devastated, cried for 3 days straight, felt this intense shame, like she could just sink into the earth, she said, even thought about suicide.
Just immense distress over something so natural for a female body. Clearly something deeper going on there.
Her poor mother, totally freaked out by this, severe reaction. She didn't go to a doctor. She went to a village sorcerer, a witch doctor.
Oh, no. Not a medical professional.
Nope. And the sorcerer immediately says she's possessed and starts this brutal 7-year treatment.
7 years? What did that involve?
Horrible stuff, making her inhale fine pepper powder through a tube, forced breathing of burning pepper fumes, and severe beatings with a rattan cane until her back and legs bled, all to drive out this supposed evil spirit.
That's just torture disguised as treatment. Unbelievably cool, the suffering she must have endured.
And after all that time, 7 years of torment, her condition, Didn't improve one bit.
Of course not.
So at 22, the sorcerer, basically throwing his hands up, just tells her, get married. Maybe that'll cure her.
Marriage is a cure for deep psychological distress and perhaps past life trauma. That's misguided, to say the least.
She was basically forced into it. But married life, even more suffering. Physical, emotional, intimacy was agony for her. She had this condition, very tough hymen, needed a doctor to cut it with scissors eventually.
Oh, goodness. More physical trauma on top of everything else.
She found zero happiness in the marriage, often went into shock, needed medical help. All she wanted was out. Separation.
Just trapped in a cycle of suffering.
She had 3 kids, all difficult births too. First son, 8 months. Middle daughter, 7 months. Youngest son, 10 months overdue.
Preterm, postterm, more challenges.
And adding to it all, she couldn't breastfeed any of them. Doctors said she lacked the cells needed to produce milk, so all raised on formula.
Another layer of difficulty and perhaps disconnect.
Now, she had 3 older sisters. None of them ever married. They chose to live alone. So feeling lonely herself, maybe projecting a bit, she made this tough call.
What was that?
She gave her first son to her eldest sister to raise, and her youngest son to her second sister. So they wouldn't be alone. She kept only the middle daughter.
Wow. That's a huge decision, giving away 2 of her children.
Yeah. Then, not long after the youngest was born, her husband has a bad car accident, broken leg, brain damage.
Oh, dear. More hardship.
And she becomes his caregiver. For 5 years, an incredibly tough role given their history.
After everything she'd been through with him.
But here's a twist. Despite the hardship, she eventually lets him take new wives. She even helped him find them.
Helped him. Why?
She felt they could meet his needs better than she could. She herself had zero desire for marital life, remember? So she stepped aside. He ended up having 10 wives. The last one is still with him today.
10 wives.
Yeah.
Her detachment there is quite something, stepping back like that.
After they finally separated, she just threw herself into spiritual practice. Now she's 55, dealing with a bunch of health issues, allergies, asthma, weak heart muscle, insomnia.
A lot of chronic conditions.
Yeah, so she can't get to the temple as much, but she lives alone, always wears white, chants daily, meditates, often right through till dawn. And she's a big follower of the DMC channel, keeping that spiritual connection strong.
Dedicating her life fully now to that path, despite the physical limitation.
Okay, so now let's shift focus a bit to her middle daughter, the one she raised herself. This adds another layer of these past life echoes.
Right, the daughter's story.
When the daughter was just 3 years old, she starts telling her mom something incredible. She says she is actually the mother's older brother, the one who died.
The deceased brother reborn as her daughter.
That's what the little girl claimed. When the mom asked for details, the daughter explained it all. Said she was the brother who got shot. He was trying to stop a fight between friends, took the bullet meant for them.
Wow.
And she remembered hearing her mother, his sister back then, crying, like begging him, be reborn as my child.
That's incredibly specific for a 3-year-old, knowing details of the death and the mother's wish.
The mother was floored, obviously. How could a Calder know that? The daughter kept telling this story over and over for months. But then around age 5, she just forgot. Gradually stopped talking about it. Never mentioned it again.
That fading of memory is quite common in childhood, past life, recall cases.
And the daughter, growing up, she had these really distinct traits. Very masculine, people said. Fierce eyes, intense gaze, courageous, direct personality, fearless. And her toys. Knives and guns. Not toy kitchen knives, mind you.
A very clear resonance with the brother's likely personality, perhaps.
Yeah.
Protective, assertive.
Absolutely. It makes sense then where her career path led.
Law enforcement.
Exactly. Police officer, worked 13 years in the investigative unit, crime suppression division, got awards for anti-drug work, named upstanding officer.
Wow. So that past life inclination really manifested.
Yep. She's 32 now, still single, says she has no desire to marry. Echoes of her mother there, perhaps.
Definitely some parallels in that aversion to marriage.
So this whole complex story, this tapestry, it just brings up so many questions, right? Destiny, choice, these unseen forces, like those childhood memories, the mothers, the daughters, how real are they? What does this case suggest?
Well, from the perspective we're exploring, yes, these recollections, both the mothers and the daughters, are seen as authentic glimpses into past lives. And that ability, it often comes down to a couple of key things.
Okay, what are they?
One is dying and being reborn very quickly, like almost immediately, without a long time wandering in between realms. The other is having made a strong wish an aspiration in a previous life specifically to remember past lives.
Ah, so it's not random, it's conditions plus intention.
Exactly. And the mother seems to have had both those factors aligning for her.
Okay, that clarifies a lot. Now let's connect back to that tragic drowning. The mother and her friend trying to offer lotuses, but they drown. What's the karmic root there? Seems so unfair.
It does seem unfair on the surface, but the explanation links back even further to an earlier life where those two, as friends again, used to, well, playfully throw cats into water.
Throw cats.
Yes, causing them to drown. And that negative action, that karma, it ripened in that later life, resulting in their own drowning. It's a stark example of cause and effect, Vipaka.
Wow. So even playful cruelty comes back. That's sobering. It really shows the weight of seemingly small actions.
It does. Every action creates a seed.
So why did the friend go to a higher realm, Tavatimsa heaven you mentioned? While the mother was reborn human, they died together.
It came down to the very last thought moment. The friend's mind, right before death, was purely focused on the merit of offering lotuses to the Buddha. That purity was enough to propel her upwards. The mother, though, her mind was filled with panic, fear, distress about drowning. That left pure mental state led to a human rebirth, which is still fortunate, but not a heavenly one. The state of mind at death is absolutely critical.
Merit punya, that's the positive energy from good deeds.
Exactly. Virtuous actions, thoughts, words. They build up this spiritual capital that influences where you go next.
Okay. And the mother's rebirth. Feeling she jumped onto her mother. How does that work with conception?
Right. It's not quite a literal physical jump. Her consciousness, guided by karma, entered the father first, likely through the nostril, traveled to his center, and then influenced him to unite with the woman who would become her mother. A specific karmic mechanism for rebirth, even if her memory framed it as a jump.
Fascinating detail. Now, her lifelong wish to be male, to be a monk, hating being female, you said deep roots.
Very deep. Back in a previous Buddhantara, that's a huge time cycle.
Yeah.
An eon with a Buddha. She was actually a man, a soldier.
A soldier.
Yes, who followed his king and ordained as a monk, lived the monk's life for a time.
Okay, so she was a monk.
But he later disrobed, gave up the robes. Why? Because his former wife kept insisting, pestering him relentlessly until he gave in.
So he left the monkhood for her.
He did. And after that, he lived a life that was, let's say, careless regarding relationships. Promiscuous, lots of casual encounters. His commitment to the precept against sexual misconduct was basically shot. Now, he still did good things, made donations, gained merit that way. But his mind before dying in that life was scattered, not focused. This whole pattern resulted in him cycling between male and female births over many, many lifetimes.
So that's the root of her current aversion to being female and the pull towards monastic life, that past identity and the broken precept.
Precisely. It's an echo of that strong male monastic identity and the regret, perhaps, mixed with the consequences of that later life's conduct. It puts her whole internal struggle in a much larger context.
Incredible. It really does.
Yeah.
What about all her health problems now? The allergies, asthma, heart issues, insomnia, do those connect back too?
Yes, quite directly. They're linked to karma, primarily from that life as a soldier. Specifically, actions involving the torture of enemies using various methods.
Betraying enemies.
And also, in other lives, possibly after coming down from heavenly realms, engaging in killing animals for food, and severely overworking animals, like using young, underdeveloped animals for heavy labor. All these actions combined created the karmic seeds for her chronic physical ailments in this life.
So the way you cause suffering comes back as specific types of suffering for yourself.
Very often, yes. The principle is that causing distress, pain, or limitation to others, especially those weaker or under your control, plant seeds that ripen as your own physical and mental problems. It's like karmic justice, a form of balancing the scales.
Okay, and her marriage struggles, the painful intimacy, the unique physical issue, the difficult births early, late, and not being able to breastfeed, more past karma.
All connected. Remember the soldier life where he disrobed? In another past life, as a man, she actually coerced a woman into marrying him, forced her.
So he made someone feel trapped in marriage.
Exactly how she felt in her own forced marriage this time around. The preterm births. Linked to overworking young animals, think using young calves for heavy carts before they're ready. Post-term births. Linked to caging animals, keeping them confined for long periods.
Wow, the specificity again.
And the lack of breast milk. That stems from past actions like prematurely weaning animals, selling a mother cow right after she gave birth, forcing the calf onto grass too soon, depriving it of its mother's milk.
It's almost unnervingly precise, the type of harm done to animals directly mirroring her own specific maternal and birth issues.
The law of karma often operates with that kind of specific resonance. The effect mirrors the cause, sometimes quite literally, ensuring one experiences the results of one's own actions.
What about caring for her disabled husband, even finding him wives? Where does that fit?
That links back to a past life where she, perhaps watching a fight or conflict, enthusiastically encouraged a friend who was fighting to really harm their opponent, like egging them on, cheering for the violence.
Like at a boxing match, kinda?
Exactly. And the person who got injured in that fight was left nearly disabled. So that energy, that encouragement of harm leading to disability, came back to her as the heavy burden of caring for her own disabled husband.
Okay, let's turn back to the daughter. Remembering being the mother's brother, you confirm that scene is true. But his death, getting shot, was that just random violence or karma, too?
Karma. Definitely karma. His violent death was the result of a long-running feud, of vengeful karma, with an adversary across many lifetimes. They literally took turns killing each other, back and forth.
A cycle of violence across lives.
Yes. And after he died that time, his consciousness sought out his sister, the woman who is now his mother, and was reborn through her husband, the father. Not the jumping mechanism his mother experienced, but the more typical path through the father for conception.
Okay, got it. So why do some kids, like the daughter, remember past lives clearly for a while, then forget, while others, like the mother, hold on to those memories?
Good question. Often, the children who forget might have had that quick rebirth, but they lacked that strong pre-existing aspiration to remember. Or maybe the emotional ties to the past life weren't as intensely binding. The mother, on the other hand, seems to have had both. The aspiration from a past life and a deep, perhaps traumatic connection to the life she recalled, especially the drowning. That combination allowed her memories to persist, though the strength of her merit apparently only allowed for that one specific past life to be recalled so clearly.
Makes sense. And the daughter becoming a police officer, you said that links to a past life as a royal official.
Yes, in a past male life, she held a position equivalent to a police officer or law enforcement official of that era. That created a very strong karmic inclination, a groove, toward that kind of work, which manifested again in this life.
But you raised a serious point about that profession, the karma of taking a life, even in the line of duty. Extrajudicial killing was the term.
Yes, it's a very significant point. Even when performed as part of one's duty, the act of taking a human life inevitably creates negative karma. It plants the seed for future suffering and continues cycles of vengeance, just like her uncle, her past self, experienced with his killer.
So even if it's legal or seen as necessary to stop criminals, the karmic consequence remains.
The karmic consequence remains because a life has been taken. Now, making merit for the person who died can help lessen the burden, but it's not guaranteed to resolve it. It depends heavily on where that person is reborn. Can they even receive the merit? If they're in a hell realm, for example, they likely can't. And even if they can, will they forgive?
Especially if dealing with people involved in serious crimes, like drug trafficking. They might not end up in a good place.
Exactly. They often end up in lower realms where forgiveness or receiving merit isn't really possible. So the advice given in this context is often to, if possible, shift roles within the force, maybe a police nurse, something non-combatant. Or, if staying in that role, to commit to accumulating an absolutely massive amount of merit through other good deeds, constantly purifying the mind to try and counteract that heavy karma. It highlights the need for immense compassion even in difficult roles.
That's a really challenging ethical and karmic dilemma for people in those professions.
It truly is.
Okay, one last piece of the family puzzle. The sons given to the sisters, while the daughter stayed. Was that just the mother's choice or karma again?
Karma again. It turns out those two sons were actually the children of the sisters in a previous life.
The sisters were their mothers before.
Yes. And in that past life, the sisters apparently had really difficult lives, troublesome kids, alcoholic, promiscuous husbands. It was so bad they made a vow, an aspiration never to marry or have children again in the future.
Ah, which is why they are single in this life.
Correct. But the case owner, in that past life, knew her nephews, who are now her sons, and she often encouraged them to do good, make merit, try to change their ways. Because of that positive connection and encouragement, they were drawn to be reborn as her children this time. But the karmic connection to the sisters, their past mothers, was still strong enough that the situation unfolded where they ended up being raised by them anyway, fulfilling that past link.
Wow. So intricate. And the daughter stayed with the mother.
Yes, because their karmic connection was even stronger and more varied. They'd been siblings, other relatives, mother-child across different lives. That stronger bond kept them together this time. And overall, the whole family, including the case owner, they had made merit together with the monastic community in past lives. But it was described as mood-dependent, inconsistent,
Not steady.
right, which leads to these long periods of being separated from each other across lifetimes.
Yeah.
Even the case owner, despite being that royal soldier who became a monk, was ultimately described as having been heedless or careless in how she lived that life after disrobing.
So, reflecting on all this whole deep dive, what's the big takeaway for us listening? It's such an intricate dance of karma.
It really is. And I think this case just powerfully highlights how deeply our past actions, our intentions, even our aspirations influence everything in our current lives. We saw how specific things like coercing a marriage leads to intimacy issues, how harming animals leads to specific health problems or birth difficulties.
The sheer precision of it is striking.
Exactly. It's not just good or bad. Karma is incredibly specific. Every little action seems to cast a very precise, long-lasting shadow or light. It really motivates one to cultivate merit consistently, to live mindfully, to make conscious choices aligned with, good principles, especially for someone like the daughter in her line of work. The underlying message seems clear. Keep accumulating merit, keep purifying the mind, do it diligently, and aspire to follow the path of the wise, the monastic community, towards liberation, towards realms like Dusapuri, that special heaven zone for bodhisattvas, so we don't get separated from the path of goodness.
What an absolutely extraordinary deep dive. These hidden currents of karma, these recollections. It really challenges our everyday understanding of cause and effect, doesn't it? And the real power of the choices we make, or maybe fail to make, across who knows how many lives.
It definitely does. And maybe it leaves you, the listener, with something to think about. If every action, every thought, every wish you make has such a lasting ripple effect, such a specific echo, how might really knowing that, internalizing it, change your daily choices? How might it shift your view of your own life story and the ripples you're creating right now?
A powerful question indeed. We hope this has given you a rich perspective to consider. Thank you for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.